Yesterday, August 20th, Nintendo showed us a bunch of indie games, and that's always really exciting. So far, the Switch has not even been out for 2 years, and I can name hundreds, alright, maybe not hundreds, but a lot of indie games, which are not only really popular and critically acclaimed, but also some of my personal favorites. I fell in love with Celeste, Enter the Gungeon, Hollow Knight, Bomb Chicken, and the list totally goes on and on. So, of course, the Switch has a lot more to come, and this fall and into next year, there are a lot of great games that you want to check out, like Super Smash Bros. And Pokemon, maybe Metroid, Bayonetta. But indie games, man, there are a lot of really good ones coming out, and I think it's time to talk about them. Alright, so Nintendo gave us roughly 15 indie games, give or take. My name is Ramakrishnan, and I wanted to make a quick video about them, so let's talk about indie games. Starting off with Night Call. Night Call is this noir game, and I think that film noir is super cool. I'm kind of interested in it for that reason alone. I'm not exactly sure if this game is going to be for me. It seems like a story-driven, maybe Telltale style game. It's a little hard to say, couldn't get a full read on it, but I'm curious enough, so once that launches in 2019, I'll see if it's for me. The next game is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, and of course I'm really interested in that. You guys can check out my last video about games that do not have release dates but are scheduled for 2018. Ironically, well, we just got a release date for Monster Boy, and I don't believe I was right, although I would have to check again. But Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is like a spiritual successor to the Wonder Boy games, some really old school action adventure platformers from like the Sega Master System. I'm actually a big fan of Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap, which was released on the Switch. I think it was last year. I played a little bit of it and absolutely loved it for the gorgeous visuals, and the action was pretty fun. This is a follow-up, but looks even better. It looks like it's improving upon it, and it's got a lot of charm to it, and it looks like a delightful experience to play. Probably gonna be pretty hard too. The Gardens Between was the next game, which is some sort of puzzle game. I'm a little bit iffy about the art direction. I don't hate it. I just don't know if I love it. But it looks pretty compelling in terms of like the puzzles. I think it's going to be really interesting and intuitive. And also I get this vibe that there's going to be a cool story to tell. And that is always a good thing if you ask me. Indie games do tell good stories. Streets of Rogue was the next game in this showcase, and admittedly these roguelike games are really popular and I feel like I need to get into them more than I am, but I've played some and I've enjoyed them, and this game looks like a lot of fun. It's got this pretty simple art direction, but it looks perfect for the nature of the game, and I think it's cool, except there's a whole cooperative focus. If you know me, you know I'm not big into multiplayer games or cooperative games, so as a result, when it comes out this winter, I don't know that I'm going to play it just because I don't play games with friends that much. I'd rather an experience by myself, so we'll see. Bad North was next up in this indie showcase, and it was one of the coolest games, yet also one of the games that I care the least about. The thing is about me, I don't enjoy real-time strategy games, and despite it looking cool, like in the concept and everything, it's totally a game that I'm not going to play because of that. But I do respect it for fans who like real-time strategy games. I wish I can get into them, I just can't. Moonlighter is a really cool action-adventure game. It looks like it might be pretty deep, honestly, with combat and just like upgrading weapons and stuff like that. It looks cool. It totally gives me some Legend of Zelda vibes, and I'm pretty sure every Switch owner wants a game that is like Legend of Zelda, but like old school. But it looks super cool, so I'm definitely interested in Moonlighter. It says autumn 2018 is release date, so maybe we'll get it in like November or something. I think it'll be pretty cool. This War of Mine is a game that I remember hearing about a while back, and it admittedly seems amazing in terms of what its storytelling is and what it's going for. This War of Mine is a really interesting game about post-war. It's about humanity and people coming together or splitting apart after a war, survival, and what goes into surviving in such an environment and a world like that. This War of Mine is critically acclaimed for all those things, so I'm totally interested in it. I'm sold on the concept. I just don't know if the gameplay is for me. I guess it's worth a try. We'll see. I feel like it's at home on the Switch, so maybe I'll finally get my hands on this War of Mine. Children of Morta gave me some Game of Thrones vibes, and I'm not even a Game of Thrones fan. It's got this whole fantasy world, it looks like, and I'm totally down for that. I think it seems really interesting. You've got your families and stuff, and it seems cool. It's got a pretty simple but like interesting art style, and I'm totally down to see what's good with this action-adventure game. I think it looks unique enough. The next game, which actually really amazed me, is Everspace. I'm feeling like I'm watching a Star Fox game, the way they show the little characters in the bottom of the screen, and they're talking, and you're in space, you know, you're doing dogfights and whatnot. I also got some awesome Star Wars vibes. As a fan of Star Wars, I'm really excited to see what Everspace is all about. It's supposed to be like, I believe it's a roguelite, a procedurally generated kind of game, and there's just a whole lot to explore. Space exploration and fighting and customizing your ship, all these dogfights, like I said, and stuff like that, seem really cool. It's pretty popular to see games like that. And I believe that this game looks even bigger than an indie game. So I'm actually sold on Everspace. I think I'm going to check it out. Baba is who? Baba is me. Baba is you. Baba is you is a weird game. I mean, like, I don't know exactly what it is. It's weird, but it seems like it could be fun. It's supposed to be this puzzle game that is probably pretty creative. I'm not exactly sure what I was watching. It's super cryptic. Like, I don't know what I was looking at. A lot of weird things going on. Simple art style and all. I would be willing to give it a try, maybe. I guess time will tell. I don't know much about it, though. And I don't think anyone really does. This game called Slay the Spire is something that is super cool, yet not for me by any means. And that sucks because, like I said, it's cool, but I don't like cards. I used to collect Pokemon cards and play the trading card game years ago, but I'm not into the whole card game. I know games like Hand of Fate are pretty popular, and of course Hearthstone and Elder Scrolls Legends are beloved for that. So fans of that will really be able to dig in with Slay the Spire, seeing as it's like a tactical role-playing game that uses cards and decks to actually use your combat. And that's cool. I respect it. I just don't think it's for me. The next game that they showed is super weird, and it's Windjammers. Windjammers is like a really old game. I've heard about it though, and you know, it looks like basically like a ping pong tennis kind of game, but with discs. So it's interesting enough. I mean, it looks like it could be fun, but also it's an old game. Is this going to feed on nostalgia? Of course it is. People who grew up with Windjammers are going to appreciate being able to play it again on their Switch if they're down for that kind of stuff. But otherwise, Windjammers, I don't know. I feel like it might not age super well in terms of what the gameplay is. It looks fine. Like I said, I don't really know much about Windjammers at all, but interesting. Not so sure if it's really a game that needs to come out on the Switch. But then they said Windjammers 2. And then, well, I'm still not exactly sold. It's got a real anime look to it, like crazy over-the-top stuff going on. I don't know that I'm going to play this. You know, it's just kind of weird that Windjammers is getting a sequel. But I do respect it for the fans, and I think that this could be good if they flesh it out a little bit. I know it's a small indie game and stuff, but say if the developers put a lot of work into making it a bigger experience than just something like a game from the 90s, except with a better look to it, then I think it would be worth your while. Otherwise, I'm not sure. They didn't really cover Terraria that much for the Switch, but it's coming, and that's already fitting. Terraria is a game that I admittedly expected to be on the Switch like a while ago. It totally fits the nature of what the Switch is. You've got games like Minecraft already there, and of course Stardew Valley. So Terraria is a game that definitely is going to sell well on the Switch because the nature of it, it's a good game to pick up and play. It's a small experience that you can just play all the time, and I think that it's great that it's coming to the Switch next year. It's honestly about time. Prison Architect actually is, I think, the most interesting one to me out of all the indie games shown off yesterday. Because Prison Architect, a game that I never heard of before, it lets you create your own prison, your penitentiary. You can make it like massive, and you can make it like Alcatraz, real serious and tight, you know. Maybe you can make it brutal on the inmates, or you can be nice and make it like an alright experience for those people. I think that Prison Architect is a really cool concept. All the ideas of just designing your own prison alone had me kind of sold, but then they also said some more stuff. They said there's all this extra content, and you can do this and that. You can be your own prisoner and try to escape and create your own route and get together with other inmates. That's cool. You could have a story mode, and the story mode talks about like the gray area of legality and stuff, and that is really interesting to me. And all these things coming together make this like a pretty open-ended large experience, something that I'm actually super down for. I just don't know if I love the Fallout Shelter style of like, you know, keeping your inmates alive and whatever, helping them out, but it seems like you can cause chaos, and I might just do that when I play this game. It's also available right now, so go pick it up. I think I will. And the last game in this indie highlights showcase video was Morphe's Law, a game that I believe was announced some time back, and it's finally out. It's out today, so yeah, go pick that up too. Maybe we'll play. Morphe's Law is a multiplayer shooter, which is something that I'm sort of iffy about. I've played Battlefront, Battlefield, COD, and stuff. I don't love multiplayer games. I'm usually not good at them, but I'm almost trying to play this game just because it's unique and it's got my attention, because it's all about like growing and shrinking. You shoot enemies, you shoot your opponents, and they shrink or they get bigger, and that can either make it better for them or break it altogether. Being big doesn't always help, you know? They show like not being able to get through a tight area, but also like the big guys, you know, they might be slower or whatever. And there's all these cool concepts. It's a unique, fresh take on multiplayer shooters. It actually seems kind of campy and funny and maybe self-aware, and that's even better. So Morphe's Law is something different. It's special. It's a really cool looking shooter that is not doing what everybody else is doing. It's not a battle royale game. It's not a gritty military shooter. It's not even like a sci-fi shooter. It's just something different, and that is awesome. So guys, that is it for this video. Those are the nindies, as they like to call them. Although I don't think they use that word in this video, but I used it. Yeah, nindies, they look good. I mean, I'm not super sold on every single one. There are a few that I like. I think that Prison Architect looks extremely dope, and I might play it today. Morphe's Law is also available today, so like I said, we can check them out right now. I also really liked Everspace. I think that looks super cool. You know, Star Wars vibes and stuff. But that's what I thought. So let me know in the comments below which games you like the best from this little highlight video. Which indie games are you going to pick up? And which ones do you not care so much about? Also, I must say, I'm a big platforming guy, and I didn't really see an emphasis on platforming, which I was almost surprised about because Nintendo does do that a lot with their games and indie games too. So what's up with that? Are you disappointed by that? Are you excited for any of these? Like I said, talk in the comments below and we'll have a discussion about indie games. Otherwise, I'm Ramakrishnan, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you all in the next video.